Welcome back to our commentary series, exploring the writings of Ajmal from his website, theborderofamind.com.
Okay.
This time we're going to be looking at one of his blog posts.
Right.
It's titled, Nurturing Your Within Ground.
Sounds interesting.
And it's all about self-love and acceptance.
Uh-huh.
But I think he goes a little bit deeper than just your typical self-love pep talk, you know?
Yeah, and in what way?
Well, he starts by really examining how all these societal pressures
Right.
can lead us to internalize so much negative self-talk.
Yeah, I think that's key, right?
Yeah.
Before we can even start to address self-love, we need to understand all those things that are working against it.
Exactly. And he doesn't shy away from,
Okay.
the reality of how damaging those messages can be,
Yeah.
about who we should be and how we should live and how we should look and all of that.
Right, like always feeling like you're not enough.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And he uses this really interesting image of an inner bully to describe this, internalized shame that we carry around.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And how it prevents us from being our true selves.
So it's like we're absorbing all these external standards.
Yeah.
And then we turn them against ourselves.
Exactly. And I think that's something that everyone can relate to, right?
For sure.
Because who hasn't struggled with that inner critic?
Totally. Yeah.
And, he makes this point that it goes beyond just feeling bad about ourselves.
Okay.
It can really hold us back in all areas of our lives.
Right. I can see that. Yeah.
Our relationships, our creativity,
Yeah.
our courage to even pursue our passions.
Yeah. So it's not just like a small thing.
No, it's huge.
It can really have a big impact.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but then the question is,
Yeah.
what's the solution?
Okay.
Right?
What do we do about it?
Yeah. And that's where things get really interesting because he introduces this idea of embracing what he calls radical self-love
Radical self-love.
and acceptance. Yeah.
Okay, that
But
sounds...
before you think, it is, but before you think it's just, another fluffy self-help term,
Right.
he clarifies what he means by that.
Okay, I'm curious.
So he's not talking about ignoring our flaws or being, self-centered.
Right.
It's more about cultivating this deep, unwavering compassion for ourselves, exactly as we are.
Okay, so accepting the whole package.
Yes,
Good and bad.
exactly. And challenging those negative thought patterns and consciously replacing them with more nurturing interpretations.
So instead of being our own worst critic, we become our own best friend.
Exactly.
It's a total shift in perspective.
Yeah, it is.
From judgment to compassion. Wow, I can see how that could be powerful.
Yeah. And he believes that making this shift can unlock so much potential within us.
Okay.
And he even goes on to describe some of the specific benefits of self-acceptance.
Oh, I'd love to hear about those.
Well, one thing he highlights is how it gives us the courage to be more vulnerable in our relationships.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you can accept yourself, you can allow others to see you. Yeah, exactly.
Warts and, right.
And imagine the depth of connection that could create.
Yeah, for sure.
We give ourselves permission to be fully seen, imperfections and all,
Yeah.
and that vulnerability can actually inspire deeper trust and intimacy in our relationships.
It makes you wonder if without self-acceptance,
Yeah,
we're kind of always putting up walls
absolutely.
and afraid to really let people in.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's getting at, and it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
He also links self-acceptance to pursuing our passions without the fear of failure.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, how many dreams have just been completely stifled
I know.
because we're too afraid to even try?
Yeah, because we're afraid of looking foolish or making mistakes or,
What will people think?
Exactly. And he's suggesting that when we truly accept ourselves, those fears start to lose their power.
Okay.
And we can finally pursue what truly lights us up, regardless of the outcome.
So it's not about the external validation.
No.
It's about recognizing your own inherent worth. Yes. And that's what self-acceptance helps us to do.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah. And when we start living from that place of inherent worth, our choices become more aligned with our values.
Yeah,
We stop making decisions based on what we think we should do.
right.
And instead, we start focusing on what feels authentic and fulfilling for us.
It's like you're following your own inner compass,
Exactly.
not someone else's expectations.
It's about stepping into our true selves, unshackled from the expectations of others.
I love that.
And I know you mentioned earlier how Ajmal's writing is full of vivid imagery.
Yeah, he's got a way with words.
He does, and there's one line in particular that really stood out to me.
Oh, tell me.
He says, "You walk this earth, bowed by none, owing anything to no ideals beyond your commitment to keep showing up authentically."
Wow, that's powerful.
isn't it?
It really speaks to that sense of freedom,
Yeah.
self-ownership.
Yes, like we're not beholden to these external standards anymore.
Right, you're not seeking validation
No.
from anyone but yourself.
It's about recognizing our inherent worth and standing tall in our truth.
And when you can do that,
Yeah.
imagine the impact that has on everyone around you.
Absolutely. It's contagious.
Yeah, it's like a beacon of authenticity
Yeah.
that can inspire others to do the same.
Exactly. And he even connects self-love to our capacity for compassion.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. He argues that when we are filled with self-acceptance,
Yeah.
it becomes easier to extend that same grace and understanding to everyone we encounter.
That makes sense because when you're not constantly battling your own demons, you have more space to see the humanity in others.
Yeah. And to connect with them on a deeper level.
Absolutely.
And isn't that what the world needs more of right now?
For sure. More compassion,
More compassion, more understanding,
more acceptance.
more acceptance.
It all starts with that inner journey,
It does.
with cultivating a radical love for ourselves.
A powerful message.
Yeah, and so relevant.
Yeah. And I'm curious to hear more about
Yeah.
how we can actually put this into practice.
Me too.
So does he give us any concrete advice on how to cultivate this radical self-love?
He does. And that's what we'll explore in the next part of our discussion.
Sounds good. I can't wait. So you mentioned that he gives us some concrete ways
does.
to cultivate this radical self-love.
Yeah, like how do we actually put this into practice?
Exactly. Yeah. What are the steps?
Well, one thing that he really emphasizes is the importance of mindfulness.
Okay.
Like becoming aware of our negative self-talk.
Right. Those thoughts that are just constantly running in the
it's
background.
like on autopilot.
Yeah.
And it's about, noticing those thoughts without judgment
Okay.
and then consciously choosing to challenge them.
So it's almost like we need to become observers of our own minds, to step back and see those patterns
Yeah.
and realize that they're just thoughts.
Yes.
They're not necessarily truth.
Exactly. And once we've identified those patterns,
Okay.
he suggests replacing them with more positive and affirming statements.
Okay, so it's like consciously shifting
Our inner dialogue.
from self-criticism to self-compassion.
Uh,
And he also talks about the power of self-care.
Whoa, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody loves a little self-care.
I know, but he's not just talking about, bubble baths and face masks.
Right, of course.
Although those could be lovely too.
They're part of it.
But for him, self-care is really about making choices that nourish our physical, emotional, and mental well-being.
Okay, so it's a much
It's holistic.
deeper level.
Yeah, it's about setting boundaries,
Okay.
saying no to things that drain us,
Yeah.
and prioritizing the activities that bring us joy and fulfillment.
So it's really about honoring your needs
Yes,
and treating yourself with the same kindness
exactly.
that you would offer to a loved one.
Which we often don't do.
I know, it's so true.
We're so much harder on ourselves
Yeah.
than we would ever be on anyone else.
We set these impossibly high standards,
Yeah.
and then we beat ourselves up
Yeah.
when we don't meet them.
And he's really advocating for letting go of those expectations
Okay.
and accepting ourselves for who we are.
Right here, right now,
Yes, in this moment.
with all our imperfections.
Mhm. And he also talks about the importance of gratitude.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, gratitude.
It's about, focusing on the good in our lives.
Yeah.
The things we're grateful for, no matter how small.
Mm-hmm.
It could be as simple as appreciating a beautiful sunset or a kind gesture from a stranger.
And it's so powerful because it really shifts your perspective
It does.
from focusing on what you lack
Yes.
to what you have.
And when we practice gratitude, it becomes easier to see the beauty
Mm-hmm.
in ourselves and in the world around us.
It's like we're training our minds to focus on the positive,
Yeah,
which can have such a big impact on our well-being.
absolutely. So it sounds like his approach is really multifaceted,
It is.
incorporating mindfulness, self-care, gratitude, positive affirmations.
Yeah, it's a holistic approach
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
self-love.
And it's not about achieving some perfect state of being. It's an
Right.
ongoing journey.
Right. It's a process.
Yes, a continuous process of showing up for ourselves with kindness and understanding.
Day after day.
Day after day, exactly. And, something else that he touches upon
Yeah.
is the connection between self-love and creativity.
Oh, interesting.
Like when we embrace our authentic selves,
Yeah,
our creativity can flourish.
I can see that.
I think when we're constantly self-critical,
Uh-huh.
we tend to censor ourselves.
Yeah, we hold
back our ideas and expressions for fear of judgment.
Right. What will people think?
But when we release those self-imposed limitations,
Yeah.
It's like this hidden wellspring of inspiration is unlocked.
It makes me think of that quote
Oh, yeah.
by Marianne Williamson.
I love that one.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate.
Yeah.
Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
So good.
And I think that really connects to what Ajmal's saying.
It does.
Because when we truly accept ourselves, we tap into that unlimited potential.
Yes. And this is where his message goes beyond just feeling good about ourselves.
Right.
It's about tapping into our full potential,
Yeah.
living more authentically,
Yeah.
and contributing more fully to the world around us.
And it all starts with that inner journey,
It does.
with nurturing that within ground, as he calls it. It's like creating a fertile inner landscape
Yes.
where our authentic selves can blossom.
I love that. And, one thing that really struck me
Yeah.
as I was reading his work
Huh?
is that this journey of self-discovery isn't just about us as individuals.
Okay.
It has this ripple effect on the world around us.
Oh, that's interesting.
Our energy, our outlook,
Right.
the way we treat ourselves and others.
It all has an impact.
It all has an impact. Exactly. And it's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh, I love that one.
When we take care of ourselves and we
Yeah.
fill ourselves with love and acceptance, we have so much more to offer to others. And he even suggests that self-love is a prerequisite
Okay.
for extending compassion to others.
Interesting.
When we're secure in our own worth,
Yeah.
we're less likely to judge or criticize others.
Right.
We can approach them with more empathy and understanding.
It's a beautiful concept.
It is.
That by cultivating self-love, we're not just benefiting ourselves, we're contributing to a more compassionate,
Yes.
loving world.
And I think that's such a powerful message, especially in today's world,
It is.
where there's so much division and negativity.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a reminder that real change starts within each of us.
Absolutely.
And by choosing to love and accept ourselves,
Yeah.
we can create this ripple effect of kindness and compassion.
It's inspiring
It is.
to think about the possibilities.
And speaking of inspiration, I think it's time for us to wrap up this part of our discussion.
Okay.
But before we do, I want to encourage our listeners
Yeah.
to visit Ajmal's website, theborderofamind.com.
Yeah, check it out.
It's a space where he shares his creative journey, his thoughts, his art. And it's just a beautiful reflection of this message of authenticity
Yeah.
and self-expression that we've been talking
It
about.
sounds like a great resource.
It is. And in the next part of our conversation, we'll explore some of the final takeaways
Okay.
from his post and offer some concluding thoughts on this journey of self-discovery.
Sounds great.
So stay tuned for that. As we wrap up our conversation about Ajmal's post on, nurturing your within ground,
Yeah.
there's one image that he uses that really keeps coming back to me.
Okay.
He talks about walking this earth bowed by none.
Oh, yeah. That's powerful.
It is, isn't it?
It really captures the essence of self-acceptance.
Yeah, it's like he's saying when we truly embrace ourselves, flaws and all, we break free from all those expectations.
Seeking approval
Yeah, we step into this space of true authenticity.
and self-ownership.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think his work offers a really important reminder that, this journey of self-discovery, it's not a destination, it's a continuous process.
It's ongoing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there will be days when we feel so strong
Sure.
and confident in our self-acceptance.
Of course.
But there will also be days when those old patterns of self-doubt creep back in.
That's just part of being human.
It is. Yeah, it's the human experience. And the key is to,
Yeah.
approach ourselves with compassion and understanding even when we stumble.
Right. And to remember that those setbacks,
Yeah.
they're not failures, they're opportunities for growth.
Exactly. And each time we face a challenge and choose to approach it with self-love, we strengthen our within ground and cultivate greater resilience.
It's like you're building this inner foundation
Yeah.
that can withstand anything.
Yeah. And as we cultivate that inner strength, it ripples outwards,
It does.
influencing our interactions with others and how we navigate the world.
And ultimately, his message reminds us that
Yeah.
self-acceptance is not selfish.
No.
It's actually a gift
It is.
to ourselves and to the world.
When we embrace our authentic selves, we inspire others to do the same.
All right.
And we create a ripple effect of kindness and compassion.
And that's something worth striving for.
It is.
A world where everyone feels empowered
Yeah.
to show up as their true selves.
Yes.
Without fear or self-doubt.
It's a beautiful vision. And, it all starts
It does.
with each individual's commitment to nurturing their own within ground.
That inner journey.
Yeah. So for our listeners who want to explore these ideas further,
Yeah.
I highly recommend checking out Ajmal's website.
It's theborderofamind.com, right?
Yes, theborderofamind.com. You'll find so much thought-provoking writing and art.
And it sounds like a great place
It is.
to find inspiration for your own journey.
Absolutely. And we'll be back with more episodes exploring other fascinating voices and ideas.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us.